Hello and welcome to Telegraph Studio. I'm Alistair Greener and today we're talking about the change in risk landscape in retail. And joining me is Dan Fox and Vince West from Aon. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Alistair.
We hear this term risk all the time, but as if we already know it. But actually, what is risk and what is it in the context of retail?
Well, for the guy on the street, something that's risky is something that has a high probability of failure or unacceptable consequences, and it's very similar in our line of business. So a risk is an event, and typically we quantify or we measure risk along two axes. The first axis being likelihood, how likely is that event to occur, and secondly, impact. If that event does occur, what are the consequences for the organisation? So when we talk to organisations about risk, it's really with two things in mind. How likely is that risk going to be to manifest itself? And if it does manifest itself, what are the impacts to the organisation?
The common risks we see in retail are people, product, premises, and then you're looking at supply chain, you're looking at IT, you're looking at logistics, and the new one, which is big data, which is out there in the press all the time at the moment.
You're quite right. We hear this big data buzzword all the time, and it sounds like you're using a magic weapon, but there must be some hidden dangers in there as well.
There are. I think what we want to do, first of all, is say that big data and analytics have absolutely transformed retail. And some recent survey material by Accenture suggests that the Internet of Things, as it's called, will add something like $14 trillion to global output by 2030. Now, just to put some context around that, the GDP of the UK is currently running at about $3 trillion in 2015. So it gives you a feel for the size of the opportunity and how much growth the use of big data and analytics is generating. But as you've so rightly said, along with that growth comes some risks, some new risks. And our own research at Aon with the Ponemon Institute, they identified that over 40%, so 4 in 10 of respondents actually carry out no formal assessment of their cyber risk.
Bringing it back to retail, if you look at your traditional retailer has a distribution centre, they will insure it, they'll sprinkler it, they'll survey it, they'll protect it 100%. But it's so different in that digital world. They just don't have that same overriding, control over that exposure.
Okay, so let's say you've won me over, I accept all of your reasons and arguments, and I sign up with you at Aon. Talk me through the process and the procedure. What's exactly going to happen? I
think the first thing we need to do, Alistair, is truly understand the business. Without that understanding of your needs and how the business operates, we're going nowhere. We have to have that engagement to understand your short-term and long-term ambitions. That's the first step we take.
The thing is, that sounds like it could be quite a long process. How long are we actually talking about?
I think we'd always listen to clients to understand whether it was just a short-term consultancy project or whether it was an ongoing, multi-line, multi-year project, which these days we see quite often. Our stages are, as I said, discovery first of all, really using the Aon client promise to understand a business needs, then taking it to the next level, involving our expertise and our consultants at the right time, and then building around the innovation, the different products we can bring to the business, and then delivering those solutions and results, which is obviously absolutely paramount in our world.
I mean, it all sounds great today, but we're in an ever-changing world. So what about tomorrow? How can I be sure that your model is actually sustainable?
I believe the way we work in the discovery stage of the process within the Aon client promises, we become a partner of our clients. So therefore, by understanding where the business is going, we become that true partnership approach. We're not reactive, we're proactive in understanding where the business is going. Therefore, forever working with them to ensure that we look at those long-term solutions rather than just quick fixes. That's the way generally we would take the approach.
What is the landscape going to look like, say, in 5 years' time with risk management?
Sure. I think there are probably 3 strands of development in terms of risk management over the next 5 years. I think strand number 1 is that we expect to see risk management techniques being used in the boardroom to drive business decisions, to support business decisions. Strand number 2 is a clearer articulation of organisations' risk appetite. Because we've been using risk management techniques in our decision making at a senior level, it allows us to be clearer and more articulate about our risk appetite, which again reassures our clients, reassures our customers, reassures our stakeholders that risk is being managed within acceptable parameters. And finally, I think the third strand that we can expect to see over the next 5 years is increased use of horizon scanning to try and identify emerging risks, like the risks associated with big data. I think in retail in particular, the advent of big data and analytics has transformed the business, has allowed this omni-channel business model to be adopted. And it's those kind of innovations that we expect organisations to be scanning the horizon for in the future.
Well, it's been a fascinating glimpse into the future of risk management in retail. Dan Fox, Vince West from Aon, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.